Welcome to Arts Talk TV. We're putting the spotlight on creativity. Hi, I'm Karina Lawrence and welcome to Arts Talk TV. We're here at the Hub Studios in Ultimo. Now they have several locations, one here in Sydney, Melbourne and Perth. And it's a great way for professional actors and creatives to get in and network and enhance their career on a daily basis. Next up on the show, I am so excited to introduce you to one of Australia's creative geniuses. He's a choreographer, creative consultant and director, producer, and known throughout Australia and all over the world. Please welcome to the show, the phenomenal Keith Hawley.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. You started training in Brisbane. And what was the main thing that you felt got you in the door of a dance studio?
My mum knew the people around the road. That the lady had just started her own school. She was 15. I'd always liked the arts. I went around and watched first and I sort of thought, oh, that's really cool. They just gently enticed me to get up and try it, and they just started with tap. And because there was no bars or anything, so I just held on to the barbecue and just sort of started doing straight hits and stuff. Yeah, so that's how I did.
And then like
8. I didn't find it confronting, I just sort of thought it was fun. And she was a very good teacher, very strict as well. And then she said to go to Sandra Breen. So it's just mainly tap, jazz, and obviously ballet. And part of my deal, apparently, I said to them was like, or said to her that I wouldn't go unless I could wear my board shorts. Because I didn't want to wear tights. I really liked it there. I was the only boy and all the girls were like hilarious, like really funny senses of humor. It just fell into place, but it was about 15, I thought, oh, I'm actually good at this.
You basically started as a professional dancer around the age of 18. You moved into musical theatre and commercial dance throughout Australia and overseas, appearing in musicals such as West Side Story, Black and White Minstrels, Sugar Babies, La Cage Foals and Mikado.
West Side was the first one I did, and I didn't, because we didn't train with mirrors either. Like if we had a guest teacher, she'd bring out one sort of panel of glass and everyone kind of like, get a look. Yeah, like what's that look like? And at the time they were the best dancers, a great choreographer, great director. That was interesting. And then the other shows, they were always the New York directors, like Arthur Lawrence and all these extraordinary people.
Wow.
So you had this sort of background of musical theatre that was really authentic in a sense, and all these amazing people from New York. So they'd come in with this wealth of experience that was that we as young entertainers at the time, this was still like in the early 80s. We were just like, you'd see these people on TV, like or the Tonys and stuff, you're like, oh my God, these are who we are working with. And they really loved us because in terms of age, we were much younger on an average than the casts in Broadway. So that we just came with all this energy and complete hunger. I think Arthur Lawrence was still like extraordinary because this was in La Cage Foals, which is still my favorite show of all time. He had come in, obviously, they brought him in towards the end of it. And he comes in with extraordinary sort of directing sort of eye, and he just whispered in my ear. He said, when you turn around, think you're the most beautiful person in the world. Okay, that's new, but I'll give it a whirl. I just felt really
He just
beautiful.
gave you that direction and
and permission.
Okay, so you've also worked in television commercials and films such as Happy Feet, Bootman, Three Stooges.
I know, I forgot I did it. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was really showy. I love the era, and I like film a lot. I think it's a very interesting sort of medium.
Okay, so internationally, you've worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. Let's just rattle some of those off. Kylie Minogue, Tommy Tune, Arthur Lawrence, as we've talked about, Marsha Hines, Gary McDonald, George Miller, Hugh Jackman, Jackie Love, Rhonda Birchmore, Diana Ross, Tom Bellinson, and of course you've choreographed Kelly Abbey in Sweet Chariot musical.
Diana Ross was really interesting
because
she had come with this reputation of being quite full on. And within the contract that you have, like, because it was an opening number for her to open up the Venetian Casino in Macau. It was like a huge gig, huge gig. In the contract, there was 2 different stages. She was on the front stage and the dancers were on the back stage. But in the contract, we couldn't come near her.
Oh, wow.
And even, you know, like any creative person, as yourself as well, you're just thinking, okay, that's weird. You know, how does that gel?
Interact?
So anyway, and I met her, and she was so genuinely nice, very charming and gracious and whatever. And of course, they look and see what you've done. She then turns to me and she's like, well, why are they on the backstage? And basically, I just sort of said, well, in your contract, we can't come down the front, and for me that's bizarre. And anyway, and she was like, well, they come. I'm like, of course they do. So we changed it immediately on things. She's much happier. And then what happened after that was really interesting, because again, we do our rehearsals, whatever, and then everyone goes. She was also asked to do another thing later in the night as well.
Yeah.
She calls me directly, like, because I'd already left or whatever, and you know, will you come back and will you help me with the next part of the night? I'm like, oh, okay. And so then we did this sort of, it was like basically the finale of the entire thing as well for her, just on the spot.
Alongside your dance and choreographic career, you began working in photography, art and fashion design, and you also created your own label, a full range dancewear under the name Coochie.
I just sort of felt like something was missing out of the formula. I thought, I know I could have gone on, got more success in that way or whatever. And I thought, no. I know I'm missing art and I'm missing being creative in other mediums. And so I did go back and I just started with sort of, I used to draw a lot or whatever and put them into cafes and then people buying them, and it was just photography came out of the blue for it, just one thing after the other. Well, the clothesline really came from, as like any choreographer is always asked to, what do you think they should wear and da-da-da. And I'd always had an eye for that. As a kid, I was much more interested in that than anything ever. And around that time, I just sort of thought, well, what do I do if I can do this and I can photograph that, if I can choreograph that, if I know the lighting, how do you do it all, like as one person? Should I pick one?
I understand.
It's quite an extraordinary journey how one has fed into the other. And I still like each individually. You know, do I have to pick? Yeah. But of course, even universally speaking, it is good to be very clear on what you want to do. I've learnt how to phrase my asking the world to give me what I like, you know, what I'd love to respond to.
Right. So you did photography for Dance Train magazine, mainly headshots for programs and general portfolio work, with a vision of creating something fresh and new, which is definitely your signature. And then you were an artist in residence at the Hong Kong Academy of Performing Arts. How did that come about?
So what happened was they were looking for this person to do it for 1 year, because the guy who was running that course in Hong Kong was on a sabbatical or whatever. So they wanted someone for 1 year. And the other people that they asked, I think it was Caroline Casper and Virginia Ferris and myself. And when I met the lady, she'd actually seen work I'd done before. I didn't know this person. Her name was Sue Street. When I was having my interview, and she said, I must admit I've never had this before, but the two other candidates recommended you for the job. I was like,
wow.
Yeah. So the two of them actually suggested me, but they were still going for the job. And said,
that's unheard of.
Isn't that bizarre? And I was just like, that's so kind.
You established yourself as a choreographic and creative force, winning the Hong Kong Dance Alliance Awards for choreography and musical theatre. And that was the first time in history with this particular award. What an honour is that?
It was
surreal.
Really surreal. Like I didn't even know it was going on too.
Okay.
And we were in one of these normal meetings, and we'd already done the performances, obviously, and it was about a month later, and this woman came up and said, "Oh, congratulations!" And I'm like, I had no idea. And it was at the time, like musical theatre had never ever been considered over 20 years or however long ago. Never even given a look. But it was a well done piece, you know. It was really thoughtful, very sort of, the kids were very, very, very good because you're teaching them. So they got used to me very well, my style and whatever. Once you're in there, it was a very prestigious academy. So you meet all these amazing people, different disciplines. And so therefore you're just mixing in this whole world. There's so many things there, the artistry in terms of its lighting and the aesthetic, and they're very much into creating their own work as well. That was really positive. But the aesthetic in terms of light and design and costuming and set was really breathtakingly
So they really
beautiful.
explore the layers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're a creative source for the Asian corporate market. Obviously, while you were there, you developed a name for yourself, and you attracted some of the biggest clients throughout Asia, some of them BMW, PwC, Hong Kong, Louis Vuitton, Montblanc, Cathay Pacific, HSBC, to name a few.
Wild. So sometimes there was a creative outlet and sometimes there wasn't. There was this one, it was an architect sort of agency, but all they wanted was just sort of like an installation sort of thing.
Okay.
But within their architecture, and I was just like, this is heaven to me. I was just
Wow.
loved it.
New dimension.
Yeah, loved it. And because their architecture was so streamlined and it wasn't blocks, and it was very creative in itself. Like I was like marriage made in heaven, you know.
Clearly where you were meant to be, right?
Loved it. Great timing.
Then you moved into the senior entertainment manager for the Venetian Hotel Resort in Macau. You employed up to 200 dancers from all over the world, creating and producing on average 37 shows and 44 events per year.
Like, again, the ideas were fine, but the physicality on
that it takes.
Like even as yourself, if you're capable of doing things, you're then asked, can you do this too? Can you do? And it just keeps piling on top of it. And at the same time as I was doing that, like you're flying to like Brazil, you're flying to London, you're flying to wherever to audition all these folk, and the pressure of getting the right person because there's people that want a certain look. That was, at the time, that was very specific regardless of my thoughts.
Yes.
I think I was auditioning in Australia and they got back and said, oh, cool, this is the Playboy Club, you look after that too. And I'm like, oh, okay. And here you got the 20 bunnies that they've got from all over the world sitting in the theatre with crossed arms waiting. Oh, hello, you know, whatever. Then they wanted a show. So I had that on top of it. Then I looked after the wardrobe department, which was 200 people altogether, I think. Like it was just madness, absolute madness. I burned out just because again, you edit the music, you do the lighting, the costume ideas. Like there was the people there to do it, let alone the contracts, the visas, in different countries, people getting to the airport. Where's our visa? I'm like, I didn't know you needed a visa to leave the country. That's not mine.
Yeah.
So then
a lot of expectation, it sounds like.
It was my schedule. Like again, I just had a massive wall of just schedule. The creative expression was great. I to be honest, I wish I would have had time to enjoy it. Yeah. And to actually let it sink, because I'd finished with one and then I'm like, okay, I never saw even the people I employed. And when I got there, they were doing like the Indian Bollywood Awards or something. That was the first week. Like, and that's
big, isn't it? That genre is huge and so supported.
Much bigger than the academies, like much bigger. That mean I really loved it. I'd love to do something like that again with the support.
Yes. Okay, then you were headhunted to work for the acclaimed Franco Dragone as resident artistic director, which is one of the largest and innovative entertainment companies in the world.
When I was in Hong Kong, they were obviously starting to do House of Dancing Water. That was coming into one of their productions that they were doing. And so another mate of mine, she suggested that I look after all their audition stuff for Asia. And so they contacted me, got on really well right from the get-go. So I did their Asian auditions for Dragone, for the House of Dancing Water, which is this massive, like $345 million budget show. Like it was massive, massive. And part of the process there was they also had to do like a water audition. So that was my introduction into them. And after I'd left the Venetian and I'd gone home and I'm looking after my mum, and literally, this is the truth. This is a Saturday night and I look down at the phone or whatever, and on it just says Belgium. I'm just thinking, you know, because you just think, is it a scammer? But at the same time, I'm like, Belgium. Why would they
Lucky
be
you
calling me?
answered it, hey?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
No, I just let it go to message bank. Franco, you're going.
You were like, whoops.
I was just like, oh. And here's mum having a cup of tea, and I'm like, oh, that's important. Anyway, and then so on a message where, we'd like you to come to Macau and, do this job for the show that they're doing, Taboo, blah, blah, blah. And then I get there, and it was an extraordinary experience. And Franco was beyond incredible to me. I learnt to be a student with him because they changed the shows around. I wasn't a big fan of what was produced, to be honest. And my job was to fix things, and also too, I'm good at reading energy. And it was just like, if there's trouble, please let us know. And within about the second day, I'm like, 5 of those people have to go. There's something wrong. And Franco rings and sort of said, fix it. It's not very good. So I'm like, it was a French cast primarily, and lots of trouble. And I think it was a clash of culture in a way too. Australians are very direct. Yeah. French want to talk, argue, and then have a coffee. It was challenging, but Franco as well, like when he came in and fixed things, and I was standing beside him and I'm just sort of thinking, I need to be a student again. Regardless of what my ego is, I need to this is quite an extraordinary moment that doesn't happen to many people at all ever. Yeah. And then he said to me, and someone else said as well, he said, you can do anything you want. It's yours. You do anything you want. And his mind, the person was, he's never, ever said that, ever. Yeah, then I created different acts. Like I created this sort of strip act or whatever with a girl from Crazy Horse, a wonderful artist from London, another girl from Paris, opera ballet. Did that, and then I did a sword swallowing act or whatever. It was just so much fun. I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, just this deep, obviously stuff that I haven't resolved emotionally, and I thought I've just got to go back to my basics. Yeah. This is not me.
Your education, if we go back there, you did initially a Master of Fine Arts, majoring in choreography, I imagine, at the Queensland University of Technology. And then you were the first student internationally to analyse the musical theatre genre using a contemporary-based methodology, and therefore setting the standards for further analysis within the genre.
The lady, her name was Maggie Sietsma. She helped me a lot as well. And she at the time was Dean of the Academy in the dance department. When they were offering the Master Singer in Hong Kong first, and she said, look, if you do that, people will take you more seriously. Okay, that's interesting. So I'll do it because I can do it part-time. The lady who ran the course, she was very, very contemporary, as in running and pointing, and then the curtain comes down and we're supposed to understand what happened. And we sort of clashed a bit because I was doing musical theatre, and I sort of thought I'll analyse American in Paris as part of this analysis. And she said, well, you can't do that. I'm like, well, it's not a methodology for dance. It's a methodology for contemporary, not dance as a whole. And I said, from my point of view, if it relates to this, it actually is a methodology for dance, not just contemporary. Sure. And she said, oh, well, if you want to do that. I said, well, of course I do. That's what I'm doing. So I did that. And then we sort of clashed a little bit again. And I just thought, I don't think I want to do this. I don't want to finish with her, just personal reasons. And then QUT offered me to do a work, like a 60-minute work, as part of my thesis or whatever. And so I transferred to there, and I really enjoyed it. It was very QUT. So Sue Street, professor there. So, it was all this very, very supportive environment. And I loved it. Yeah, I know it helped me with my writing and more articulate sort of in business and whatever. It's good. It worked out really well. Yeah.
You've taught in Asia, Australia, New Zealand and the United States. You managed a comprehensive itinerary for masterclasses at various tertiary, secondary and independent schools, as well as the curriculum development, delivered lectures and practical examples of musical theatre, as well as the source of creativity and business elements of show business. Yes. Respectfully understanding culture, history related to where it's come from, where it's going. Yeah. I can only imagine your mindset, like the education before or the creative leads into the education.
Definitely think the creativity leads the education. Yeah. I want to do what I've got to say, but I realized I knew more than I thought.
Yes.
But what it made me look at was, why do I do that?
Yes.
It really questioned it, and it made me question, like, I don't know why I do that, because I just do it, but it made me think more about it.
Yeah, okay.
Deeper. Than just flicking the switch and off I go and I create, and it's like anything in life. I think life's serious enough, and I always like to put a little bit of humor in there, just to sort of
quirkiness,
a little quirky, little sort of thing to just lighten up and then back into the moment. Otherwise, it's just constantly at you. Yeah. And I just think there's enough going at people, and I think my job, or our job in terms of creativity, is to help and to sort of explore and question and all those lovely things. And then you curate it to the moment that it needs to be.
And it's tapping in and trusting that and believing in it, and then knowing this is a message that I need to listen to and express.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think creativity is a great thing to teach if you have the ability to teach about creativity. It's such an endless thing. And there was a kid last year, his name's Finn, just this amazing boy. Yeah. And he's a really unique creative boy. You can see he's on a path. Yes. And you see other kids, you just think, I don't know where you're going to go and what you're going to do.
What do you feel is something that, moving forward with all the different generations and up and coming talent, what do you feel of something that could be really useful for our viewers to take on board interacting as a whole in the world of creativity?
Authenticity in terms of yourself, respect to one another, and your creativity, what your input is as well. And I think the thing about being critical, there's not a problem with that. It should be just like, I'm thinking, if it's honest, if it's genuine, it's kind, and it's in the same league. I think a bit of that's missing at the moment. Everyone's fabulous. I think we need to be towards each other fabulous. What else is there? Why are you thinking like that, or whatever? That's great, but what about you just twist it a little bit? Yeah. Because that's I've seen that.
Thinking outside the box, see.
There you go.
We have a little bit of a fun segment on our Arts Talk TV. It's called the Shutter Speed Challenge. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
Could be dangerous.
I know.
Okay, don't think about it. You said you're a quick thinker.
Yeah, okay.
All right, last song you listen to.
I'm too sexy for my hat. Too sexy for my hat.
What's your favorite thing about being creative?
Oh, colors.
Oh, nice. Yeah. What person, who would you like to meet the most?
Geez, it would be really interesting at this point.
What would you ask him?
What's going on? Why?
Please explain. Last piece of art that has really affected you?
The one that comes straight to mind is that Gauguin stuff as well, because I like that exhibition very much. Not the picture thing, the real thing. I really like that, and I saw a piece of work that I'd never seen before existed. And its depth, its texture, I just thought, oh my God, that's just extraordinary to me.
If you had to label creativity with a color, what color would you choose?
Blue.
Boom.
Yeah.
What would you miss most about the arts?
Oh, the emotion.
What's on your bedside table?
A diffuser and oils, and the other side is like an angel crystal. And
okay. Yeah. What chore do you most dislike doing?
Windows.
Cleaning them.
I have to do windows because I live on the beach.
In one word, what does the arts mean to you?
Ooh, persistence.
Wow, beautiful. Keith Hawley, oh my gosh,
so
I could sit and chat with you for absolutely ever and a day. You are such a breath of fresh air. The concepts, the depth, the angles, just the way you peel things back and then just have fun with it is such a beautiful buzz to be around and inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your magic.
Thank you so much. I love being here. Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode.